The sun shone brightly over the lush green fields, where cows grazed peacefully under the wide, open sky. The voice of a cheerful narrator filled the air as a glossy advertisement played on every screen. At Milk Co. we believe that happy cows make the best milk. That's why we treat every cow like family. The camera zoomed in on a group of smiling cows, their tails swishing as they enjoyed the fresh grass. Gentle music played in the background, creating a sense of warmth and harmony. The scene shifted to a modern high-tech barn, where robotic arms gently brushed the cows' backs. Our state-of-the-art facilities ensure that every cow receives the love and care they deserve, the narrator continued. The cows stretched and relaxed as if living in the lap of luxury. A golden badge appeared on the screen, certified animal welfare friendly. The next shot featured a well-dressed executive, a plump cat in an expensive suit, standing in front of a company logo. With a wide, reassuring smile, he declared, "At Milk Co. we put our cows first. Their well-being is our top priority." Behind him, a massive banner displayed the words, "Ethical, sustainable, compassionate." As the commercial ended, the scene faded to a group of cows watching the ad on a large barn TV. One cow blinked in confusion. Another chewed slowly as if processing what she had just seen. "So, are we happy?" one finally asked. No one answered. The music faded, leaving only the distant hum of machinery. The barn was nothing like the commercial. Inside, rows of cows stood in cramped metal stalls, their movements restricted by cold, unyielding bars. Machines whirred and hissed as they drained milk from tired bodies, tubes pulsing rhythmically with every extraction. The air was thick with the scent of sweat, feed, and exhaustion. The soft grass and open fields from the advertisement were nowhere to be found. Instead, concrete floors stretched endlessly beneath dim fluorescent lights. A young cow, new to the system, shifted uncomfortably as the machine latched onto her. She winced but tried to stay still. She had heard the others whisper about what happened to those who resisted. An older cow beside her sighed, her eyes dull from years of the same routine. "You'll get used to it," she muttered, though there was no reassurance in her voice. A supervisor, a sleek gray wolf in a corporate vest, strolled past the stalls, checking efficiency charts on his clipboard. He barely glanced at the cows as he walked. "Productivity is key," he always said. "A happy workplace is a productive workplace." But the only ones smiling here were the ones who never had to stand in these stalls. One cow, exhausted, let out a weak moan. A nearby worker, a wiry fox, frowned and jotted something down. The next day that cow was gone. No one asked where. The machines never stopped, the schedules never changed. And outside, another commercial played, promising a world that didn't exist. In the heart of the city, high above the struggling workers, the executive offices of Milk Co. gleamed with wealth. Behind a polished mahogany desk, the CEO, a plump and well-groomed cat, adjusted his silk tie and smiled at the cameras. "At Milk Co., our employees are our greatest asset," he declared, his voice smooth and practiced. "We are committed to their well-being, ensuring a safe, comfortable, and rewarding work environment." A round of polite applause followed as reporters scribbled notes. A massive screen behind him displayed images of cows lounging in fields, enjoying fresh water, and stretching beneath the warm sun. The numbers at the bottom of the screen showed record-breaking profits. "Our success is built on trust," the CEO continued. "And trust comes from treating our workforce with respect and care." He gestured toward a golden plaque on the wall, "Best Workplace for Dairy Providers, 5 years running." Meanwhile, back at the factory, another cow collapsed. Her legs, weakened from years of endless milking, finally gave out. A supervisor sighed, tapping at his tablet before making a call. Within minutes, a pair of workers arrived, hauling her away. By the end of the day, a younger, stronger cow stood in her place. The machines never stopped. The schedule never changed. That evening, as the remaining cows chewed their meager rations, the CEO's speech played on the barn's small, flickering television. "At Milk Co., we believe in a future where every cow thrives." The cows stared at the screen in silence. The machines hummed. The cycle continued. The barn was quieter than usual. The machines stood still. The cows, usually lined up for their daily milking, remained in their stalls, refusing to move. Their bodies ached, their spirits worn thin, but for the first time they had stopped. A murmur of determination spread through the herd. They had given everything, endless hours, endless milk, yet they were still treated as nothing more than machines. Today they would demand more. Outside the factory, the supervisors gathered, their expressions a mix of confusion and irritation. The gray wolf in charge scowled as he checked his watch. "Productivity is down," he muttered. "This can't happen." The factory owner, the same well-fed cat who had smiled for the cameras, was already preparing a statement. "We hear our employees' concerns and value their dedication," he would say. "Milk Co. has always prioritized worker satisfaction." Inside, the cows braced themselves. They had no voice in press conferences, no seats in boardrooms. Their only power was to stop working, to make the company feel their absence. But the response was swift. New machines arrived by the truckload. Workers installed them overnight. By morning, the factory roared to life again, not with cows but with automated milking stations. The remaining cows watched in silence as cold, metal arms replaced them one by one. That night, the company released a statement: "Innovation drives us forward. With cutting-edge technology, we continue to support our workers while increasing efficiency." The cows, once the backbone of Milk Co., had become obsolete. Their fight had lasted only a day. The barn was nearly empty now. The machines had taken over, their cold metal arms moving tirelessly, extracting milk without complaint, without rest. The few remaining cows stood in silence, watching as more of their kind were led away, disappearing through the factory doors. No one ever returned. The once crowded stalls now felt hollow, the air thick with something heavier than exhaustion: defeat. At the top of the skyscraper, the CEO of Milk Co. sipped his imported cream latte, scrolling through the latest financial reports. Profits had soared since automation replaced the old workforce. "A new era of efficiency," the headlines called it. He smiled. In an interview, he spoke with practiced sincerity. "At Milk Co., we are always evolving to ensure the highest quality while maintaining our commitment to ethical labor practices." The reporter nodded, the cameras rolled, and the world applauded progress. Back in the factory, a young cow stared at the machines, her reflection caught in the polished steel. She had been born into this system, never knowing the open fields from the advertisements, never tasting the freedom her ancestors once dreamed of. Outside, a new billboard towered over the city, featuring a familiar slogan: fresh, sustainable, compassionate. The smiling image of a cow covered half the board, but this time it wasn't real. It was a digital creation, flawless and unburdened by reality. As night fell, the last few cows chewed their rations in silence. The machines continued their work, never slowing, never stopping. The world had moved on. The fight had ended and no one had noticed. From the above story, we can learn a profound and thought-provoking lesson about the dangers of deception, exploitation, and the human, or in this case animal, costs of unchecked industrialization. At first, the company presented an image of care, sustainability, and compassion, an image that the public happily accepted. But behind the glossy advertising and comforting words was a brutal reality. Cows, symbols of exploited workers, were overworked, voiceless, and eventually replaced by machines when they tried to stand up for themselves. Their labor was taken for granted, their value was measured only by their productivity, and their suffering was ignored under the shiny veneer of corporate image.